The NRL has today released information on a review of its new concussion rule after the first 5 rounds. And here to talk about it today is the General Manager of Football Operations, Nathan McGuirk. Nathan, tell us what you found after this review.
We found that the changes we introduced for the start of the 2014 Premiership have been a real positive change. We think that the clubs and players have embraced these changes. We've seen a number of cases in which players have been taken from the field, which normally may not have occurred. So in the interest of player welfare, we think it's been a real positive one.
Well, we've seen 27 players undergo sideline concussion assessments, or SCAs. What percentage of those have then gone on to play?
We've found that about 50% of cases have players have returned to the field following the 15-minute assessment by the club doctor, and no concussion was found. However, on 50% of the occasions as well, we've seen players not return to the field of play. The club doctors reviewed the player and found that they've suffered a concussion, and therefore they've been ruled out for the rest of the match.
Can you just explain what happens in that 15-minute window?
Yeah, the 15-minute window is an assessment period for the club doctor under which they go a number of tests. The player goes through a full SCAT test, which is an internationally recognised test under which a player's cognitive functions are tested to determine whether or not they've suffered a concussion. If the player passes the test and returns to the field within that 15-minute window, the interchange does not count as part of the 10 interchanges for the club. If the player does not return after that 15-minute window, it does count as one of the team's 10 interchanges. So that has been a real positive change. It's been well supported by the clubs. We have seen a couple of cases, unfortunately, whereby we haven't been comfortable with the decisions made in those circumstances, and they're part of an ongoing review process.
So what is it exactly then that the club doctors are looking for?
There's a number of symptoms that they look at, things like balance disturbance, whether or not the player has been unconscious is a clear one, also whether they're disorientated. There's a number of different functions that they test as part of the cognitive test that takes place in that 15-minute window.
Well, the NRL's been conducting reviews into some cases that have come under the spotlight, and as a result, 5 clubs have been given please explain notices.
Yeah, whilst the vast majority of cases we've been very happy with the way in which the clubs have been dealing with these, there has been a number of cases, however, that we've conducted reviews into. We have finalised one of those reviews today, which has led to a breach notice being issued to the Bulldogs Club, which has included a financial penalty. But as I said, the vast majority of cases we're more than comfortable with the way in which clubs have acted in regards to the concussion policy.
The club has been fined $20,000 for that breach. It was the first breach though, so $10,000 of that will be suspended, but the club will be liable to pay this if there's any further breaches during the 2014 season.
Yeah, we went through a thorough investigation, including interviews with the club trainers, and we're not comfortable with the decision that was made in leaving Josh Jackson on the field of play. In those circumstances, we believed he should have been taken from the field of play and assessed by the club doctor.
So are you confident in the competency of the club doctors, and are you sure that their intentions are in the right place?
We have absolute confidence in all of our club medical officers that they are making the right judgments in determining whether or not a player has suffered a concussion.
We've seen cases where players have looked concussed but then gone on to play. What would be the explanation around that?
It's very difficult at times to be making judgments on players suffering concussions from video. However, the people in the best place to determine whether a player has suffered a head injury is the club doctor. And that's why we've given them that 15-minute window in which they can assess the injury that the player has suffered, go through the right protocols and tests to determine whether or not the player has suffered a concussion.
So when should we expect to hear the results of those further investigations?
We don't rush these things. We like to be thorough. We like to conduct formal interviews with the staff in each circumstance. So it's not something we try and rush. It's trying to get the right answer for the circumstances in each individual case, because each case is different.
So after the first 5 rounds, you feel the rule has been a success and the clubs have received it well?
The clubs were very supportive, from coaches to club chief executives, all very supportive in the implementation of this rule. I think all in all, over the opening 5 rounds, it's been very successful, whilst also having some challenges as well.